Hi, I'm Claire, and welcome to Genrewise, news from the world of SFF. I am recording on October 7th, and today we are going to start by looking at awards news, then we'll move on to books, fandom news, then film and TV news, and finally IRL news. For every item that I'm talking about, I'm going to link extra information and more in-depth articles in the description box below, so you can always check there for further reading. First up in awards news, more on the renaming of the Tiptree Award, which I mentioned in last month's episode. At the time, there was an ongoing discussion about whether or not the award should be renamed, but since then the organisers have come out and said that following community feedback, they will definitely be changing the name of the award. We don't know what the new name might be yet, the organisers are currently working on that, so stay tuned for a further update on this next month. Next up, publisher Gallant are launching a new writing prize to recognise the underrepresented voices of people of colour in British SFF. This comes after statistics reveal that out of over 4,500 sci-fi and fantasy books published in the year 2018, only 5 were by British writers of Black, Asian and minority ethnic background. The Gallant and Rivers of London BAME SFF Award is co-sponsored by writer Ben Aranovich, Writing Nonprofit National Novel Writing Month and the Good Literary Agency. 7 prizes will be awarded, including a top prize of £4,000 plus a critique from a Gallant's commissioning editor. If you're interested in entering your work, submissions will be open from October to January. Do check the link down below for all of the details. First up in books, Kate Hartfield has announced a new historical fantasy novel. The embroidered book is due out in summer 2021 from Harper Voyager, and it is pitched as Marie Antoinette and her sister Maria Carolina as rival magicians. I absolutely adored Hartfield's time travel novellas Alice Payne Arrives and Alice Payne Rides, so I am really hyped for this. Next up, we've got Live With That, a middle grade novel from Kyle Lukoff, all about 11-year-old Bug who is coming into a new gender identity whilst dealing with a ghost who may or may not be their recently deceased uncle. The book is due out in spring 2021 from Dial. Tor.com Publishing is releasing a brand new novella from S.L. Huang, the author of science fiction thriller Zero Sum Game and the dark retelling of The Little Mermaid, Little Homo Sapiens Scientist. The new novella is titled Burning Roses. It's a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, and it looks like it will feature Huang's trademark twists. Burning Roses comes out in 2020. We've also got an exciting 2-book deal announcement from Australian author Angela Slatter. Both books are gothic fantasies set in the same universe as Slatter's Tor.com novella Of Sorrow and Such, which is amazing news to me because I adored that story. The novels are currently titled Moorwood and Blackwater, and they are due out from Titan Books in 2020 and 2021 respectively. Also in 2021, we'll get a new novel from Rivers Solomon, the author of An Unkindness of Ghosts and The Deep. The new novel, Sorrowland, will be out from MCD Books, and it's described as a genre-bending work of gothic fiction. We follow a black mother as she escapes from a religious compound and realizes that her body is changing and she's gaining new and not quite normal powers. Tor Books have announced that they will be publishing The Library of the Dead, a new novel by T.L. Hushu, in 2021. They are calling it a brilliantly inventive novel, and it's all about a woman who can talk to ghosts, patrolling the streets of a spooky, fantastical Edinburgh. Bloomsbury caused quite the stir in bookish circles last week when they announced they will be publishing 2 new novels from Susanna Clarke, the author of the much beloved and much acclaimed Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Piranesi is Clarke's first new release since Strange and Norrell came out in 2004, and it sounds like it is going to be pretty creepy. It's due out in September 2020 from Bloomsbury, and although we know the deal includes a second novel, we don't have any details about that one yet. Next up, serialized fiction publisher Serial Box will be launching season 1 of their new Thor series in collaboration with Marvel on December 12th. Thor Metal Gods is written by Aaron Stewart Ahn, Jay Edidin, Brian Keane, and Yoon-Ha Lee, and will see Thor and Loki embark on a cosmic odyssey of epic scale to recover a dangerous alien artifact and stop the return of an ancient evil. Next up, we've got news from New York City Comic Con, where Lucasfilm announced several new books. This includes a middle-grade anthology centered around the Clone Wars with an impressive author list, featuring Yoon-Ha Lee, Rebecca Rowanhorse, Zoraida Cordova, and Preeti beer. Additionally, Ray Carson will be writing the episode 9 novel, and Timothy Zahn will be writing a new Thrawn trilogy focusing on his rise to power. And all of these are due out in 2020. Great news for D&D fan, the much beloved tabletop RPG live streaming show Critical Role is getting new merchandise. You can expect to see Funko Pops and action figures in the future, but also books from Penguin Random House. And finally, for books, here are some cover reveals. First up is Network Effect by Martha Wells, the highly anticipated follow-up to her award-winning Murderbot novella series. The internet's favorite anti-social security construct will be returning on May 5th, 2020 from Tor.com Publishing, and this awesome cover was designed by Christine Folzer with art by Jamie Jones. I really like that it matches the design of the novellas so that they'll all look nice together on my shelf. Here is the brilliant, fiery cover for Zoraida Cordova's new novel Incendiary, as designed by acclaimed artist Belelis. Incendiary is an epic fantasy set in the Spanish Inquisition about a child whose magical abilities to steal memories attracted the wrath of the king and took thousands of lives with it. It comes out in 2020 from Harder and Staden. And finally, we've got an absolutely gorgeous cover for Zencho's upcoming novella, The Order of the Pure Moon Reflected in Water. This amazing artwork is by Xija Hong with lettering by Sarah J. Coleman. The book itself is a found family wuxia fantasy about a young religious disciple who joins a group of thieves whether they like it or not, and it comes out on June 23rd, 2020 from Tor.com Publishing. Next up, we have Venom news, and I'm delighted to say that it is this time of year again. Yuletide nominations are open. Yuletide is an annual Rare Fandoms gift exchange that takes place on Hugo Award-winning Fanworks repository Archive of Our Own. I had to get that in. Every year, thousands of fans sign up to participate in this fanfic writing exchange and pledge to write a 1,000-word story for an assigned recipient in return for receiving a story themselves. During this current nomination period, which will be open until October 11th at 9 AM UTC, anyone with an AO3 account can nominate up to 3 rare fandoms, that is, fandoms with less than 1,000 works available. Once the nomination closes and a very, very long list of tiny fandoms is compiled, participants will be able to choose what they want to receive from that list. So whether or not you're planning on signing up for Yuletide this year, if there's a small fandom you want to see more works in, make sure to nominate it. And of course, where there are the Hugo Awards and fandom, there will be grousing. After this year's awards were handed out in Dublin, fairly predictable commentary began to arise from people upset about the gender balance in the winners across the different categories, which skewed heavily towards women winners this year. In response to this, James Davis Nichol decided to take a look at the fiction categories, and in a post on Tor.com he presented his data. You will not be surprised to hear that the cold hard facts actually showed an incredibly more pronounced historical gender imbalance in favor of men, and that the people concerned with too many women winning this year haven't shown the same worry over the gender balance in years where cis men dominated the awards. All of the men in the comments of that article going, well, actually, about the data is really just the cherry on top of the sexism sundae. Now onto film and TV, we're starting with intriguing news from Sony Pictures. They have hired Morbius writers Matt Sazama and Burke Sharpless to write a Madam Web movie set in the Spider-Man universe. This villain in the comic books is also known as Cassandra Webb. She is an elderly blind woman with clairvoyant abilities, and she uses a spiderweb-like life support system. In some continuities, she also holds the key to the multiverse, so that's exciting. I was also very interested in the trailer for Netflix's upcoming show Daybreak, a post-apocalyptic series that promises to turn classic high school cliches on their head in the aftermath of a deadly nuclear blast. Season 1 of Daybreak premieres on Netflix in the US and the UK on Thursday, October 24th, so not too long to wait. Next up, we've got casting announcements for the upcoming Discworld series The Watch, which focuses on Ankh-Morpork's City Watch. Now, Richard Dormer as Sam Vimes seems like a great pick to me, but some of the other announcements left me and the internet somewhat baffled. It seems like a lot of characters will be shifted around quite a bit, and while I'm open to see where they go with this, I am extremely skeptical about the choice to cast a young, thin, absolutely stunning woman to play Lady Sybil. Also, the casting announcement describes Sybil as a vigilante, which is definitely not a book thing. Now, I'm sure Lara Rossi is a fine actor, but I will miss Lady Sybil's book personality dearly. Next up, we've got exciting Jurassic World 3 news. Of course, we recently learned that Colin Trevorrow, who directed the first film in the rebooted franchise, will be returning to write and direct the third installment. But what really got the internet abuzz was this teaser from the Jurassic World Twitter account revealing the return of Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum. I've never been that interested in this new franchise, to be honest, so getting all three of them together again is pretty much the only way to tempt me into seeing Jurassic World 3. Fans of Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials will soon get to wipe all traces of the ill-fated film from their memory with the debut of the highly anticipated new adaptation from the BBC and HBO. The series will premiere on November 3rd in the UK and Ireland, that'll be on BBC One, and the show will make its US debut on HBO on November 4th. We also got a new trailer a few days ago featuring Lin-Manuel Miranda's Lee Scoresby calling Yorick Bernison a good bear. So I'm pretty happy with that. Bring on November 3rd. Next up, now that we've entered spooky season, Netflix has decided that your new nightmares will be all about really tall grass. How do you make grass scary? Well, you have Joe Hill and Stephen King write a novella about it and then adapt it into a Netflix film with a trailer that is genuinely eerie and unsettling. In the Tall Grass dropped on Netflix on October 4th, so you can go and be terrified by nature as soon as you work up the nerve. Next up, there is a short trailer out for the new sci-fi series Vagrant Queen coming out in 2020. Vagrant Queen is a live-action adaptation of the comic book series about former child queen Elida. She was driven from her throne when she was a child and forced to wander the galaxy on the run from the people who want her dead. It looks pretty amazing, but the coolest part is that it will be produced by an all-female team of writers and directors. And finally, after the third season of Stranger Things expanded beyond the familial social circles of the main cast and into the 80s cultural touchstone of the American shopping mall, we've gotten news that Netflix has renewed the show for a fourth season. There is no release date yet, but we did get a short teaser trailer to whet our appetite for our favorite flyover state supernatural sleuth, and it teases that we may be seeing more of the world outside Hawkins, Indiana. Let's move on to real life news, starting with Star Wars merch. Lucasfilm recently launched their big merchandising push for Episode 9, The Mandalorian, and the upcoming video game Fallen Order. Unfortunately, it became clear that Rose Tycho, who had one of the most iconic lines in The Last Jedi, was missing from a variety of products, including a previously revealed shirt where she was the sole character. Folks on Twitter started using the Where's Rose hashtag to point out the glaring omission, linking it to previous campaigns like hashtag Where's Rey, which was used to underline a lack of Rey merchandise in the wake of Episode 7. I wonder what these two ladies have in common that could mean they get left off of merchandise. Oh wait. And finally, after the news dropped that Sony and Disney were unable to work out a deal for more Spider-Man films in the MCU, the internet was heartbroken, and Disney went in full PR spin mode, making Sony out to be the sole bad guy. We must assume that all this terrible press helped Disney get the financial concessions they wanted out of Sony, since a deal has now been reached, meaning that Tom Holland's Spider-Man will be back in the MCU for at least one more film. We can expect to see him on screen again in 2021 to complete his trilogy. Now, of course, it's good news for storytelling, especially after that cliffhanger at the end of Far From Home that had the whole internet freaking out. But the way this whole deal or no deal affair played out does not bode well for the future. It is not in the best interest of consumers to have one massive corporation owning all of the entertainment media. We know this. This is why there are antitrust laws. So that's it, this was Genrewise. I hope you enjoyed it, and please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That was so many book announcements. Which one are you most excited about? Are you planning to sign up for Yuletide this year? And how do you feel about the casting news for The Watch? I only barely scratched the surface. Those are important questions, and I want to know your answers. If you like the show, please share it around. I work really hard on it, and I'd love for as many people as possible to see it. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to Renay and Di for their invaluable help scripting this month's episode. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again in a month's time for more science fiction, fantasy, and fandom news. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out a previous video on screen right now. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button that's on my face for a new video from me every week. I've been Claire, Thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.